And for the first couple of years, in 2001 and 2002, we were just digging away and we found bits of bone, which were small, but we didn't think anything of that because there are quite a lot of modern human pygmies who live in that area as well. And they're stone tools, and they look pretty much like every other stone tool we'd seen. So we just kept digging. But in the third year, 2003, was when we dug on the east wall of the cave. Now that was exceptional because we didn't know this was going to be anything amazing, but we were lucky. We just went straight down, plonk, 6 meters down onto the skeleton of Homo floresiensis, as it's now called, or the Hobbit, as we sort of call it colloquially. And that was a name brought up by Mike. It was a good time. It was kind of, the zeitgeist, because there was Lord of the Rings doing the rounds at that particular time. This was a half-size human found in a cave, hole in the ground. So it had all the kind of hallmarks what a Hobbit should be, apart from the waistcoat and gold buttons. I mean, the Hobbit's a very interesting creature. Not only are they very small, which you might think, so they're just a modern human pygmy, but they're not, because they actually are different in many substantial ways. The most obvious one is they have a very small head. Their brain is only about 400 cubic centimetres. Ours is maybe 11 or 1200 cubic centimetres. So they have a brain which is incredibly tiny. They might only be the size of a 4 or 5 year old, but already a 4 or 5 year old modern human has a brain at least twice that of a Hobbit, already expanding towards ours. So the Hobbit's brain is exceedingly small, but actually wired in a very clever way. So when you can do a cast of the brain case and have a look at what the brain would have looked like, and they had all the same frontal lobe activity as we did. They could do all the same processing as we could do based on the features of their brain, but they look quite different. They also have no chin. We characteristically have chins, whereas their buttressing for the jaw actually happens on the inside, not on the outside of the jaw. Their teeth are also different. Most conspicuously, though, they have very long arms that actually go below their knees if you extended them fully, standing upright. And they have very short legs compared to us, and very large feet compared to us. So exactly whether hobbits ever met modern humans, we don't know for sure. Seems likely they did, because we were in Australia, we're at the other end of Asia as well. They surely have bumped into us, but we don't have the factual evidence to say exactly how we interacted. And that's one of the key questions now, trying to work out how we actually, if ever, interacted with hobbits by looking at younger deposits and looking at the evolutionary history of the hobbit. I mean, what did the hobbit descend from? Was it an Australopithecine? Was it just a shrunken down version of Homo erectus, which is another kind of Java man hominin found in Java? Did they just cross over to Flores by boat somehow in the past and then shrink down to the size of the hobbit? We don't know. So really the evolutionary ancestry of the hobbit is still another unknown question. So the bits that are unknown are actually at both ends. What did the hobbit descend from? What was it originally? And when did it finally go extinct? And did it ever interact with us at any time, in any place in Flores, or in another part of the world? It must have gone to other places to have got to Flores, but we've just not found the human remains. But that's quite typical. I mean, human remains are very hard to find. Good human remains, they're usually reworked or eaten away or weathered away, scavenged by something like rats or Komodo dragons, which is what we have lots of on Flores. So the chances of a bone being preserved are actually very, very slim. It's the exception rather than the rule. So many discoveries are made purely by good luck, digging in the right place and getting lucky at the same time. So I'm sure there's lots we don't know. And of course, with all things geological and paleoanthropological and archaeological, they're mostly buried underground. The interesting stuff's underground. You've got to dig for it. So it's not there easy to see and say, oh, let's go over here, let's go over there. We were lucky in 2003 to dig in that part of the cave. We could have dug 2 meters to the right, 2 meters further back, 2 meters further forward. We just dug right there and went straight down on it. We could have missed it just as easily. So when you think of it like that, it's completely implausible that there are not other human species out there waiting to be discovered.